Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a new video. So we're actually going to be cleaning and protecting the leather. This is something I've been meaning to do for quite some time. I actually got this product quite a few months ago, actually, even before I had the Recaros in here. And I was actually going to do the stock seats and kind of do a whole video on that, but I never got around to it because I ended up replacing the stock seats with the Recaro pole positions. But what I want to do, since they are new and such nice seats, I want to get that leather protected. Now the entire seat, I'll show you in a second, isn't fully leather. As you can see, the inserts are cloth. The Pepita finish, the houndstooth, if you will. So we're obviously not going to be doing anything with that. We're just going to be protecting the leather around the entire seat. Now this is real leather, it's not the vinyl, so I want to make sure it stays protected and looking this good at all times. So the product that I actually got, we got right over here. I'm sure you guys have heard of this brand, but COLOURLOCK is very, very popular in the detailing world. They also have Alcantara cleaner, they have vinyl cleaner as well, a bunch of other stuff. But this is the best, in my opinion, group of products to use on your leather to not only clean it, but protect it and make sure it stays looking fresh and good at all times. Now, the big thing about leather is that you want it to actually breathe, and there are some coatings out there, much like a ceramic coating, that doesn't allow the leather to breathe properly. It's porous, it actually needs to kind of get air through it and everything to stay supple and stay like a matte finish. You don't want that shiny, oily looking finish, and what this actually does is it allows it to breathe properly and it protects it at the same time. So as I mentioned, I put some Recaro pole positions in here. I bought them brand new. They're only a couple months old. So I'm not going to be doing the full application as you see here. And I'll tell you why in a second. Now the rear seats obviously are still stock. Didn't change them out. So they, I guess, are a little bit older than the front seats. So doing the full application may be warranted. But to be honest, the car is so clean. It only has 23,000 miles on it. I'll probably just do the same process that I'm going to be doing on the Recaros on the back seats. But I'll go over everything with you and when you should use it, what you shouldn't use and all that stuff. So let's go ahead, let's get into it. Let's show you the interior and then we can get going on the whole process. Before we get going, I just want to mention that it is the cold weather is on its way. And this is the first night in a while that I came into the garage and it was a little chilly. So I actually turned on the heat storm, the heater that I got going on here. This thing is fantastic, super small, very affordable. As you can see, it's 65 in here, and outside right now, I think it's like 34. So pretty darn comfortable in here. Probably by the end of this video, we'll see it closer to 70, but love that thing. If you guys are looking to heat your garage or a smaller area, thing is fantastic. Obviously, it's not going to be 90 in here with something like this. But it takes the edge off and I can work in shorts and short sleeves in here. Even when it's 20 degrees out, it's usually in the 60s in here with that heater on. It's fantastic. I love it. And it's very, very reasonable. But as always, I will leave a link below for that. So if you guys are like me and you live in a colder environment and you like working out in your garage in the colder months, I highly recommend picking one of those up. All right, so this is what we're looking at here. As I mentioned, this is the full and real leather Recaro pole positions. They have a couple different versions of these. They have the vinyl version, they have the cloth version, then they actually have the full, I believe, Napa leather, which is really nice. So it's a really nice finish. It matches the Napa leather in the back seats, the stock seats, very, very well. It's identical. And it's very, very supple, very soft, and very clean looking. But as you can see, the seat is super duper clean. Now, for seats as new as these, going through the whole entire process isn't necessarily necessary. But my main goal in doing this application right now is to protect the leather, especially on the driver's side. Getting in and out, the bolsters are higher than the stock seats, obviously, so you kind of got to hoist yourself up and over. I'm just so used to doing that from aftermarket seats over the years that I've kind of developed a method where I put my hand on the sill here and kind of hop over. But even so, it's kind of inevitable at some point your leg kind of graces over the bolster, especially on the driver's side, getting in and out so often that sometimes this wears down faster than normal. So I want to make sure this is protected. Now here's a quick look at the back seats. In perfect shape, so I'm most likely just going to do the same application as I'm doing on the Recaros. I don't need to do the full 3-step application just because it's in such good shape, but I'll still go over it so I can explain it to you and why I'm not using a certain product in the lineup that I got. So as you can see, we have 3 different types of products here. We have the cleaner, the protector, and the shield. So as I mentioned, there's a couple other products they offer. They actually have a more aggressive cleaner. I only got the mild because personally my interiors never get that dirty that I don't need the more aggressive cleaner. So I got the mild, which for the most part, if you're like me, that is all you're gonna need unless you're detailing or protecting and cleaning up an interior that's very, very old and really, really needs you know, some love and care. But for me, mild cleaner is enough. So this is what we're actually going to be starting with, and you're going to want some type of brush. Now this is the brush that Matt recommends that he uses. It is a little beat up. I do plan on getting a new one because I've used it on other interiors as well, and just random projects throughout the time I've had this, but it's still nice and soft, so it's not going to damage the leather. But I do recommend getting kind of a soft bristle brush like this to get the job done. So basically, I'm gonna spray this on. It's like a foam. You want to put crazy amount of pressure or anything like that. Just kind of do circular motions and kind of get all the areas clean as best as possible. Then you're gonna wipe it off with a microfiber and make sure it's dry. Now, as you can see, we got 2 more products, but I'm only gonna be using 1. Now, if your car or your leather, your interior is 3+ years old and it really, really needs a cleaning, then you would move to the leather protector. This is what you're going to use, so it actually brings kind of back that matte finish. If you have a lot of oil and it's shiny, and you know, this is the product that you're going to want to use next. As you can see on the bottle here, it says nourishes and protects smooth leather with UV protection. So you can definitely use this if your interior is 3 years or older and it really, you know, it's not as matte or as clean as it once was. So you can definitely go with the step. But since my Recaros are so new, I'm going to skip this step and move right over to the shield. So this is like the ceramic coating, if you will. This is the product that's actually going to protect the leather. So when you're getting in and out of the car and everything in the seats, this is actually going to keep it looking nice. It's basically like a ceramic coating, but it's breathable. So it's going to allow the leather to breathe properly, and it's going to keep it looking good for years to come. In the kit, they include some foam sponges like this. So you basically got to apply this. It's like a ceramic coating, as I mentioned. Just do it in sections, wipe it off, and then you're going to wait for it to cure, much like a ceramic coating. So I'm going to be using these 2 products in this video. Again, if your interior is a little bit more damaged and needs a little bit more love, you're going to want to get this as well. But since mine's so new, we're going to be skipping this step. All right, guys, so we're going to be working on the passenger side right now. So as you can see, the Recaros don't have too much leather. It's not too crazy. It's basically good just on the sides. It goes up and then onto the other side as well. So not much to really care for, which is nice because it's less to actually worry about. That's why I actually prefer cloth in cars. Not only is it easier to maintain, in my opinion, but it also holds you a little bit better as well. That's why I always love Alcantara or suede inserts or cloth inserts. I personally just think it holds you in better, and it's less maintenance. So what we're actually going to do, or things that we're going to need, is first we're going to need the mild leather cleaner, as I mentioned. Going to need the soft bristle brush that I got from Obsessed Garage, and some type of interior soft microfiber to be able to dry it off. So with any product, any chemical, anything that you're using on a car, you want to make sure you shake it up, make sure everything is mixed up properly. And what I'm going to do is spray or squirt a little bit of the foam right onto the brush like that, and simply just going to scrub. Now again, you don't have to push hard, you don't have to really grind it in there. All you're simply doing is just kind of working the product into the pores of the leather. It's pretty simple. So you're obviously going to be using probably more of this than any other product, because depending on the size of your car and how much leather you have, you're going to really use a decent amount of this. Now, you don't have to get crazy and get in every nook and cranny. Again, these are brand new Recaros. They're only a couple months old, and to be honest, my wife has only sat in this seat once. So it's really it's much cleaner than the driver's side. I'll do the driver's side as well for you guys. But very, very simple, very straightforward. You just want to make sure you're not getting it on any of the cloth or Alcantara if you have that in the car. One area of seats that I always find that gets a little bit shiny are the kind of shoulder areas. If you're wearing short sleeves or you go to the gym or something, you know, that tends to get some of the oil from your body or your arms or whatever get on the seat. So that can happen as well. So I'm going to do this in sections. I'm not going to do the whole seat, but after that, simply just going to wipe it down with your clean microfiber like so. Make sure you get it all off. This is just like prepping the paint for ceramic on your car. So you want to, you know, the more prep work you do, the better the outcome is going to be and the longer it's going to last. And to be honest, looking at this side to the other side right now, this, no joke, in person does look cleaner, which is surprising because, as I mentioned a couple times, these are brand new seats, so you would not expect a big difference. I don't know if you can see up here, not really. But as I mentioned, as I'm looking at it right now, I can definitely notice a cleaner overall look. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of the leather on the seat here, and then we'll jump on to shield. So I'm also doing it on the armrest here. These are obviously not as new as the Recaros, but since people wear short sleeves and their elbows are resting on here, and also the little door card piece here, it does get dirty. So I want to make sure this is protected. Just cleaning it up with the mild cleaner. I'm staying away from the handles here since those are Alcantara, and gonna do the same treatment. Just use shield on here. I can use the protect. At least for my application, I don't think it's necessary. But depending on your car and how much use and how bad your interior is, you might have to use protect. But just for me, sticking to the cleaner and going to the shield. So we got that done. Somebody just gotta wipe it down. You know, the leather does travel up around here, but I can't get the brush in there, so I'm not gonna risk it and get too crazy with it. Just want to make sure I get the bulk of it. So, all right, the passenger side is done. I'm gonna hop over to the driver's side. I get a few clips for you guys, just doing the mild cleaner. Then we're gonna jump onto the shield. I spare you the rear seat. It's gonna be exactly the same process, but I want to at least show you the front because that is my main focus right now. All right, guys, so we got all the leather cleaned up. It's looking super, super nice. One of the most satisfying parts about this was the driver's side armrest there. Not that it was super dirty, but I definitely noticed that the most because obviously when you're driving, your elbow's on there. Plus the previous owner and everything, not sure. I mean, I clean the car or the interior every time I wash the car with P&S interior cleaner, and it does the job really well, but still, it pulled off a decent amount of dirt off of there. But seats are looking great, so now let's move on to the last and final step, which is the COLOURLOCK shield. So this is what you're gonna need. You're gonna need the actual shield, a little foam block, and a clean microfiber. These are my interior towels, so I just got a new one. I'm actually probably going to cut this in half. I'm not gonna need this entire block and I don't wanna waste it. I actually got a bunch more of them as well up here, so I mean, it comes with the kit when you buy it. So, you know, it's nice to have extra on hand. So I'll probably cut this in half and only use half because there's not really that much leather on the Recaros. But let me go ahead, cut this in half, and then we'll start applying the shield. All right, so for this step, we're gonna work here just so I can show you on film. But I got my little block cut into a smaller block. Shake this up. Now this is like a cream, basically. It's kind of like a polish, but if you ever applied ceramic coating before, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about in terms of staying organized. You know, you don't want to just take this and just smear it all around. You want to make sure that you are doing sections, wiping it off, and then kind of moving on to the next part. Because you want to make sure you're kind of working nice and organized and you do a section at a time. You don't want to get ahead of yourself. It's very, very easy to get ahead of yourself and just start wiping everything, but you don't want to do that. Take your time with it. I'm just going to do this section up to the bump right here and then kind of move my way around to get this done. So obviously before you apply it to the little block here, shake it up. You don't want to go in circular motions like you would a wax or something like that. So you're going to put a little on the applicator pad. and then you're simply just going to wipe it on. As I mentioned, you do not want to do it in a circular motion because they say it can actually make the leather shiny, and you don't want to do that. So work in a small section, as you can see, getting a little seatbelt area here, go up to that bump, and just like ceramic coating, you want to make sure you cover everything nice and evenly. You don't want to leave any spots. And yeah, it's as simple as that. So as you can see, I took my sweatshirt off. It's actually getting pretty darn warm in here with the heater on. It's 67 degrees in here now, so getting a little toasty for me. But yeah, so as you can see, it's pretty darn simple. You just want to, again, stay organized, coat everything. You know, don't try your best not to get it on the fabric or anything other than the leather. I doubt it really will do anything, to be honest, but just to be safe, you don't want to, I'm not going to get too close to the cloth insert there, but just make sure it's coated nice and even, get all the stitching and everything. My main concern was this bolster here, because I want to make sure that's protected at most. All right, so it'll start to dry on its own, but any excess just gonna kind of wipe off. All right, guys, so I got the passenger side done. It's looking so good. Very hard to show on camera, but the leather, the kind of depth that is showing compared to the driver's seat in person is pretty insane. And like I mentioned, these are pretty darn new. Passenger seat literally is brand new, only sat in once or twice. And it's just looking deeper. The black is looking much deeper and more supple as opposed to the driver's seat. So very, very happy with that. Now, again, you can go the full 9 yards and do the leather protector, but obviously I didn't find a need for it. It even says on the back of shield here, apply a leather shield immediately after cleaning, 24 hours if you're touching up the color or doing any repairs. So if you had any cracks or anything, you want to wait 24 hours. Then it says COLOURLOCK leather protector for older leather. So being that this is not older leather, again, very, very new, don't have to do that, but looking really good. I actually went over here and did the armrest as well, and it's looking super, super nice. Now, just a quick tip as you're doing this. On the back of shield, it actually says to let dry. So you wipe it on, let it dry, then repeat every 3 to 6 months. You want to use a very thin layer of this. If you get too thick, it gets kind of splotchy when you let it dry. But I wasn't really happy with how it was going on when I was letting it dry completely. When I would do that, it would get a little splotchy, a little streaky, and I was applying a very thin layer. So what I ended up doing was kind of letting it flash and kind of get somewhat dry and then wiping it off with the microfiber. Now, you can do what you want, but personally, letting it dry completely, I just didn't like the way that it looked. Just my personal preference. I'm gonna go ahead and get the driver's side knocked out, get a few clips for you guys, and then we can wrap this up and I can give you my conclusions about COLOURLOCK. All right, guys, I am finished. Everything turned out beautiful, looks nice and supple and super clean. Really happy with the outcome. My only advice is that even though Shield says to let it dry, don't. For whatever reason, I don't know if it was just the specific Recaro leather. If you let it dry, it got very, very splotchy. Even though I was doing a nice, really thin, even coat, it still would dry kind of splotchy. And I did a test spot and let it sit for a little while. And no matter how long I waited for it to dry completely, it would still leave kind of a weird kind of splotchy mark, even though it was nice and even. So my advice is put it on nice and thin, do a small section, let it flash a little bit, and then just wipe it off with the excess with the microfiber. And it turns out looking so much better. So overall, I'm really happy with the product. It's super simple to apply. It's super simple to stay on top of it. Now it says apply every 3 to 6 months. Now for me, it's probably gonna be closer to that 6-month mark just because I tend to keep my interiors very clean and I don't drive this car all the time. So it's gonna stay looking nice and fresh. But If you drive your car every day, I definitely recommend doing a coat of Shield at least every 3 months to stay on top of it. But what Shield is actually going to do is going to help protect from dye transfer. So if you have a lighter color interior and you wear jeans or some type of clothing that has dye in it, you know, it's going to help with that transfer. It's going to help keep that seat clean, keep the leather clean and looking beautiful at all times. So definitely recommend it. If you have an older car and your leather is a little bit more beaten up, I definitely recommend throwing on the leather protector prior to the Shield. You do need to wait 24 hours for that to completely cure before you throw on Shield, so keep that in mind. But for me, just did the mild cleaner, then we moved over to the Shield right away, and it turned out beautiful. I'm gonna actually do the rear seat another day. This all in all took me about an hour or so, taking my time, and that is with filming and everything. So just keep in mind, it's gonna take some time. Interiors are never my favorite thing to do, but this was enjoyable, and I got these Recaros seats looking beautiful. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to leave a link below for all the products I use. I'll even leave leather protector down there as well, so if you need it, you can use the links below. They have Alcantara cleaner. They have a bunch of other stuff as well. You can use this on furniture, so it's not just car related. They're very, very good at what they do, and honestly, I think this is the best kind of stuff. And to be honest, I actually have the old Leathery cleaner that I used to use way back in the day, and that used to be the best stuff on the market. Now I am a firm believer in COLOURLOCK, and I think it is a much better product than Leathery from way back in the day. So if you guys have any questions at all, be sure to ask them below. But in the meantime, keep it clean, keep it simple, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.